Would you like some inspiration? Maybe some plus size clothes that you could make for yourself this autumn winter season? Well, let's do it then. Hello lovelies, welcome to Amy of Melbourne. My name's Amy, obviously, and today I'm going to be taking you through my sewing, knitting, crochet, maker plans for autumn winter 2025. If you've seen my channel, you know that I've actually just come back from a big holiday trip to Europe with my husband. We went through all the Nordic countries, so a lot of my making has actually already been for winter, but like deep winter. So now that I'm back, I want to focus on more layering pieces, seasonal transition pieces, and things that work a bit more for the climate that I have here in Australia, which is far more mild than what we went into at the start of March in Finland. Oh, the other thing before we get started, two things. Number one, if you could subscribe if you like this channel and this content, I'd really appreciate that. It would help me out a lot, and it would mean that you would get to see more of my videos, including more of my makes, make-alongs, and travels around doing textile tourism. That'd be great, thank you. The other thing is that I do have lots of videos coming about my trip to Europe, shopping in different yarn and fabric stores, and going and seeing historical costumes and all sorts of fun things. But I have a lot of editing to do to get those actually ready to be uploaded. So that's why we're doing this video today, and we're just going to give me some time. I have literally hundreds of gigabytes worth of video and photos and stuff. Yeah, we filmed a lot. So I have a lot to get through. So we're just going to give me a little bit of time to get through that. So I thought that in the meantime, we'll talk about my actual making plans for this season. First thing that I really want to make are two proper jackets. I say proper because I want to use natural fibres, which is unusual in jackets these days. And jackets themselves are quite a lot of hard work. The two that I want to make, one of them I have the fabric for, the other I don't. But the fabric I have is too big and bulky and I couldn't bother bringing it down. So I'm not going to. The first jacket that I want to make is a proper raincoat. And by proper, I mean from waxed canvas, oilcloth, that type of fabric. When we were overseas, there was a plus size store that I really enjoyed the styles of. It's called ZZ, and it's a Finnish company, I believe. And it was in a couple of different countries that we went to, and when we were there, they had this really cool button-up, double-breasted coat. It's a spring coat, which means that it is a lighter weight, more of a trench style coat, but a bit shorter. It's more like just below the hip, a little bit longer than the hip, but not all the way down to like past the knee like a trench coat is. And what I really loved about this coat was the way that they did the collar. You can either do it up all the way so that it's a proper all the way around your neck collar, or you can open it up so that it looks like a regular collar lapel, and I thought that was really cool. I could have bought it there, but unfortunately this was made out of 100% polyester, and this year I'm trying really hard to not buy any new synthetic fabrics, including in clothes, as much as I possibly can. There are some places where unfortunately the options are just not there anymore, and if I don't have the time or ability to make that thing, I can't. But this one I think I can. So I want to take inspiration in terms of the cut and style of that jacket, but include elements that are more practical, like what you would find in something like a dry-as-a-bone. I'm not sure if I want to do like some sort of weather flap at the back like you have with a trench coat, but it's something I'm thinking about. But I definitely want to consider how I am lining the coat so that it is a little bit warmer, not crazy. I've got some photos on my Pinterest board where they've got like some sections that are quilted in the lining. I'm not sure if I want to go that level of warmth, but I certainly do want to have it a bit warmer. I do have a raincoat. I'm not sure the fabric, it's probably Gore-Tex. Maybe, or it's definitely plastic, like it's a proper plastic raincoat. It's what I wore over there, and that's not warm at all, and I find it difficult to layer over things because most of my warm layers are things that can't be like crushed down. So anyway, I think this will be really great to have as an alternative, and I think it's far more stylish to have than oilcloth or a wax canvas instead of having like a raincoat material, which is shiny and sounds awful and all those sorts of things. The only thing with something like this, of course, because it's made of proper, waxed canvas, it's going to be heavy, which could be really nice as well. But it means that it should, if I do my due diligence in the pattern making, the drafting of it, and then the actual making of it as well, it should last me the rest of my life and longer. So I'm really hoping I'm able to do that. I'm going to put my best effort in. It may not be ready until this time next year, and that's fine if that's the case, or even longer if that's what it needs to be to make sure that I do it right. But that's definitely something that I am wanting to make very, very badly. Just having a really nice, well-fitting, waterproof layer that also looks like a cool trench coat. That's basically the concept in my head. The other jacket that I really, really want to make, and I've been wanting to make this for several years, is a proper wool coat. I have lots of old army blankets. They are a plain grey wool blanket, and these are from my grandparents and they would use them for camping. We have so many army blankets that I think I would have enough to make a couple of coats and still have enough blankets left over to go camping. So there's that. We love them for camping because they, apart from just being really warm and it being wool and all of those sorts of things, it's actually a really great like safety hack, because wool is fire retardant. So you can use your wool blanket to put out fires if you have issues with your fire or anything else. I just love them because they're wool, and as most of you probably know by now, I am obsessed with wool. So I want to make a proper wool coat, upcycling these army blankets. Some of them have got like moth holes in them now because they're old. So those are the ones I want to try and use up first, so that they are being put to good use and I can cut around wherever the holes are so that I can just have the good bits left. And then I think that I would like to do lining with something really pretty, like almost unexpectedly pretty, like a Liberty fabric on the inside. I think would be really cool. Originally, and for a couple of years, I've been planning on doing the Pixie Pea coat from Twig and Tail, which I really, really love, but I'm not sure if the more boxy style of the body of that is what I definitely want. Definitely love the hood. That I would really love to, like, that looks really cool. Or if what I want is something that's a little bit more vintage inspired, something more from the time of the blankets themselves, because they are really, really old. That's the thing that I would like to make. So I'm still a little bit unsure about the style, and I need to do a lot more research because, of course, I'm upcycling wool blankets. They are incredibly thick and heavy. So that'll be something challenging to try and work with. And most vintage style coats have a little bit more gathers or things like that that may not work for this type of fabric. It might just be way too thick. And then in that case, I may end up just upcycling it instead into the, I think it's called the Traveller Cloak. The cloak by Twig and Tail, I have that as well. It like has a double button and the same sort of pixie hood, and that's really cool. I think that would actually be really handy for camping as well, because you can sort of wrap yourself in a blanket that you also just get to wear. And I love that about a cloak. Those are my two options with those. I really want to do that. I think it would also make a cool video because it's upcycling. So that's the plan for my two coats that I would like to make. The next thing I have on my list that I would love to try and make over the autumn and summer is a pair of pants with full zipper fly. I've never made a pair of pants with a full zipper fly. The pants I've made in the past have always been things either stretchy or with elastic waist, things like that. This would be different. So I actually have a couple of patterns because I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but the two main ones I've been wanting to do are from Helen's Closet. Put a link down below to the Pinterest board that's got all of these things in it so you can have a look. But the pants I'm thinking I'm going to make from Helen's Closet are either going to be the Brooks jeans or the Falconer pants. And I'm pretty hard leaning towards the Falconer pants. The fit on them looks amazing. It reminds me a lot of the jeans that I got from ZZ when I was over in Europe. I love both the barrel leg and the wide leg. I'm not sure which one I'm going to choose. Probably the wide leg, but I think it might have more to do with the fabric. So I actually do have fabric for this. For these pants, I'm actually just going to go with a plain black drill. The reason for this is because this is an affordable cotton fabric that I have easy access to. And it means that I can make mistakes and I'm not going to be overly precious and stressed about like, oh my God, my precious fabric. I use drill for all sorts of things, particularly like in bag making and stuff. It can make a really good like lining layer and things like that. So even if I really stuff them up, I can always reuse the fabric for something else in a different project in the future and try again. So that's why I think that drill is a really good option when you're first starting to learn how to make pants with a fly and all the fitting that is involved in a proper pair of pants. So we're going to see how that goes, but I'm really excited about them. The pattern looks really, really good. It seems to fit all the models really, really well. Of course, it fits Helen really well because it's Helen's Closet, but all the other models as well, they just look super comfy and very much my style of pant that I like to wear and I feel most comfortable in. So that's the plan for that. The next thing that I've been really wanting to make is This style of dress, which I'll show you, I've got a couple of different pins of it, particularly this one where she's got the orange shirt and green hair. I have pinned this picture, I think like 10 times, because every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that, I want that outfit. That's me encapsulated with that style. So I very much want to make a empire waist, thin strap dress that can be layered over the top of other things. I have 2 fabrics that I would like to use for this. This, number 1, is this lovely different striped, almost looks like ticking, but it's just a cotton, and I got it from the fabric store, and it's really lovely. I've had it for a couple of years without anything particular. I just thought it was a nice color. And so yeah, I think this will make a really nice version of that dress, possibly. And then the other one that I have that I bought specifically for this dress is this one here. This is it's a twill weave, so it's almost a denim. It's a very, very thick fabric. So I definitely need to make sure with this one that I give myself the right amount of ease so that it looks right. And I'll have to use something different for the lining of the bodice. But this one here, which looks really cool, it's this lovely plaid. It's this lovely plaid print. I just think it's really cool. I think it would make a really, really cool dress. If I have any left over, hopefully I've got enough left over, and then I can also make myself some shorts. That'd be really cool. And I think they're called like a baby doll style dress. Like I think that's more of what the cut is. And that's a dress that I'm going to draft myself. So if that's something that you're interested in becoming a pattern, let me know in the comments if you'd like it so that I can put it on my list. I actually have quite a few things already drafted for patterns, and I just have to find the time to grade and do all that kind of stuff with them and then have them tested. I'm always on the lookout for pattern testers also, so if you're interested in pattern testing, head to my website and you can sign up. Okay, something that I actually do need quite badly in my wardrobe is blouses. I have a lot of t-shirts, like basic t-shirts, plain, you know, basic t-shirts, and I wear them a lot, and I don't love them because they make me feel really sloppy. But in my daily life, I want to wear something a bit nicer. So what I need is some blouses. So I have some fabrics picked out, and I also have a couple of patterns picked out as well. I need both long and short sleeve. For the short sleeve one, I definitely want to make a Donny shirt from Friday Pattern Company. That I have picked out and bought for that this lovely greeny blue coloured linen. Again, this is from the fabric store. Fabric store have got really, really great linen options. So if you're looking for that, they've got lots and lots of colours. So that's what I want to make for a Donny shirt, absolutely. I also self-drafted a long sleeve button front v-neck top for my Frocktails outfit for 2024, and I want to keep working on that, and I want to do another version of that. So I think that I will be using this amazing like deep rich purple eggplanty kind of coloured organic linen from the fabric store for one of those. I think I am very in love with this fabric. It's like my dream colour. I adore it. And that makes it very hard to cut into. Do you have that problem where you fall in love with the fabric to the point that you just don't want to hurt it? I have that problem. So I have already made this shirt several times, trialed it, all that kind of stuff. So I do feel a little bit more confident in cutting into this with that because it's not the first go around. It's been fitted, but it feels dicey. It feels like this should just maybe stay one of my pet fabrics in my stash room. Creepy. But I know you shouldn't do that. You should actually use the fabrics. Like, good lord, cut into it and then you can get it again at some other point and you can make another thing out of that same color fabric. I think a lot of us have that sort of like in our minds, that's the only time we will ever buy it. Like, we can't buy it again, or that it would be weird having different items of clothing in our wardrobes made with the same fabric. I want to challenge myself about that internal belief or thought that I struggle to overcome. I want to really challenge myself with it, and actually it is totally fine. In fact, it's fantastic to have multiple items made out of the same fabric because it means you'd love it and that they would coordinate together, and that's just good. Like, I don't think that that's a problem. I think it's weird that we think it's a problem, but I am struggling with that one. If you have any tips on that, let me know. Oh, I have one more blouse fabric. This one here, it is incredibly sheer, lovely gossamery type fabric. It's very see-through too. So that's the thing I have to consider. I would like to make something quite flowy, airy, big puffy sleeve sort of thing, but fitted through the bodice, more fitted. Something like peasant blouse type thing with this, I think. it just feels beautiful. It took me a long time to decide to actually get it. Like I kept walking back around to it being like, oh, because it is warm toned through that color, which I don't normally wear. I'm not really a warm toned color person. I have very cool undertones and I just think that they look better on me. I struggle with warm tones in comparison to cool tones. You probably see. I just want something made out of this. I think it's so lovely. I also think the plaid pattern is really cool, and I like the whole costuming drama style juxtaposition between something really ultra feminine in terms of its cut and style, but with something that I like in terms of fabric associated with either, lumberjacks, rugged hard work, or like grunge from the 90s. So I think that'll be cool. I think, yeah, I think in my head I'm thinking of like a Garibaldi shirt. I might get to that point with it. We'll see. Otherwise, something that's more inspired by that, but maybe a little bit toned down and simpler in its style. Something not quite as intense and Victorian. Though I do love intense Victorian anything. The next thing that I want to try and do is a shirt challenge. I want to try and find what would be like my ultimate shirt pattern, and I have a couple, and I really want to try out the Helen's Closet Cameron button-up shirt and the LB Textiles Cornell shirt. So I have a couple of flannelette fabrics that I got like 2 years ago now, when they went on clearance at the end of winter, and so I think I want to like try and see, between them which one is the best by just making some flannies. Flannelette shirts. Flannies is the Australian term for that. We've shortened it. Flannies are fantastic for doing lots and lots of things. They're very practical, outer, inner. They're a very practical garment. I love wearing them camping as well as just in my everyday life. I adore them. I really struggle to find them to fit my body. I am tall, not crazy tall or anything. I'm 5'9". So I am not crazy tall, but I am tall. And I have really long arms and legs. Like I'm very gangly. You can't tell as much anymore because I am a plus size person, but I am actually quite gangly. And almost always, without question, when I buy a shirt, the sleeves will come to about here. And that's where they button, and it's really uncomfortable and they don't move properly, and I hate them because then they stop being practical, which is their whole purpose in life, is to be a practical shirt. Rant. So I want to try and make my own, and for that I need to find like my perfect pattern. I may end up Frankensteining bits together or end up just drafting it all over again using my own block, which I don't want to do because that's a lot of work. And I have other things that I want to work on in terms of patterns instead of a basic shirt. I think most people can find them in different places. They don't necessarily need me to make one, but that's what I want to make with this. Speaking of shirts, again, we're going back to that picture with the girl with the green hair and the shirt and the dress. I literally want that outfit. So I also have this rusty orange red linen. I really want to make that orange shirt with the lovely little collar and the pin tucks and like the whole thing. I just think it's so beautiful, and I think she looks so gorgeous and I love it. So I want to try and recreate that for myself. So I have this. I'm hoping it's enough. I've actually had this fabric for years, just before the pandemic. So I've had this for a very long time and it needs to get used. I need to use the things from my stash and actually make myself some lovely clothing that I've been eyeing off for a long time. So yes, that's another shirt that I would really, really like to make. The next thing is some basic throw-on dresses. I mean like skater style, no closures for the most part, hinterland sort of, rosary apparels, whatever that one, posy, sort of like that type of dress. And I think I'm just going to draft it myself using my block because then I know it's going to fit me, and I always have issues with trying to fit these dresses exactly to my particular proportions, which are bizarre. So I have several fabrics lined up to turn into those sort of dresses that I can chuck on, and I really want to make sure that they're ones that I can wear with my hand knits. So I have this lovely purple color. Again, it's very similar to the other one, but not quite as deep. And this one is actually a cotton with a slub, and this is from Spotlight. And then I also have two linen, they're called ginghams. And then I have two linen ginghams. I have one with black and one in green, different sizes, lots and lots of meterage here in order to make myself some lovely dresses. I just need to more work out where I want the sleeves to hit and also how long I want each of them to be, where I want them to hit in terms of my knee versus not, and how that's going to layer up with other things, particularly for autumn, winter, and spring. I want to be able to wear these all year, depending on how I layer them or not layer them. But realistically, I want them so that I stop just wearing like tracky pants and t-shirts around the house. Things that don't make me feel good when I'm wearing them. I want to have lovely things to wear every day when I am working and when I am pattern making and doing all the things that I do, and even editing videos like this one. I want to feel like I look nice, and I want to feel professional, and I want to feel like a person when I am at home and I am pattern drafting and things like that. I tend to just, sort of slop around, and I don't want to do that. I want to wear lovely things so that I feel like a lovely person, an actual human, on those days where I'm doing that. So that is what I have here. The last sewing thing that I have is I want to make a new wool winter skirt. So I have this wool blend. It is a poly blend, but it is wool, and I think it's really nice. The only thing I'm unsure about is how long to make it. So I'm going to use my Murana skirt pattern. It's my pattern, and I just don't know if this would look best 40s style, which is the original intended style of the skirt, being knee length and just make it as it is, or if I go with more of a mod 60s style, like short skirt. I'm really unsure as to which one would be best for this fabric, and I would love your assistance with having a think about that and your opinions. Please pop them in the comments below. So that's this fabric. It will definitely need to be lined because it is quite a loose weave. Together, it's a little bit more of that like sort of Chanel-y type fabric that everyone's obsessed with at the moment. Something that was really big in Europe was this type of fabric, but in bright colors as jackets. So if you're wondering what's big over there, that was a huge thing. But I want to make it as a skirt. That makes more sense for my wardrobe. I don't know which one's better. So let me know, should I go 40 style knee length or should I go 60 style mini? On top of those things, I also have a couple of knitting projects that I want to get started on properly. The first one is this one here. I dyed up a whole heap of this wool to make this jumper by Rose in Vert, and I can't remember the name of the jumper itself, so I'll put it on the screen. But it is a basic sweater jumper, but the sleeves are a little bit more voluminous and very pretty, and then at the bottom of the sleeves they have this beautiful lace. And lace work is something that I have not yet really challenged myself with in my knitting, and it's like the next frontier, and I'm very nervous about it because it doesn't quite make sense to my brain yet, in the same way that colour work just makes sense to my brain. That was not hard to learn for me, but lace has been hard to learn, and I've tried with socks and I have actually failed. So we'll see how I go with that, but you start off making basically the whole thing until you get to that sleeve part. Build yourself up to it, so to speak. Have heaps of this all dyed up. It's not quite as dark as I was hoping it was going to be, so at the end I might end up re-dyeing the whole sweater again to try and darken it a little bit, but I think it's a nice colour. And then, speaking of dark green, I have this wool from Bendigo Woolen Mills. I don't know what colour it's called, but it is this green here, and I've had this for ages, and I actually had already begun a project with it, which is this one here. This was supposed to be a vest, but I have injured my wrist fairly recently in the last couple of years from doing too much crochet. I just design crochet patterns as well as sewing patterns, and I just basically wrecked myself from doing too much. And so it has just been stuck here unfinished for a really long time because it hurts too much to work on. So what I think I'm going to do, and it actually kind of kills me, is I'm going to frog it. I'm going to rip it out, and I'm going to restart it as a knitting piece. That's a very difficult decision to make when you have already worked on it. It doesn't have heaps done, but it does have all the ribbing is all finished, and it just, you don't want to have to restart it. I think it's a little bit too big anyway, so I'm telling myself that. I'm not actually going to even check it because it makes me feel better about ripping it up. But that's the other thing that I really want to work on. So those are my plans for autumn and winter 2025. I hope that you enjoyed seeing all the things that I'm planning on making. If you have any ideas for me about pattern suggestions or anything else, pop them in the comments down below. I'd also love to know what you guys are planning on making for autumn and winter this year. Have you got any big plans? Or if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, what are you planning on making for spring and summer? I would love to know about that. If you could leave comments down below, I would love to read them. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me and hear me ramble on about the things that I want to make. I really, really appreciate it. Again, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like, all those sorts of things. Today, as always, learn lots, be kind, and make something. And I'll see you later.